There is this incredibly specific, almost universal feeling of dread in golf.
Oh, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. So picture this. You've just hit like the drive of your life. The ball is sitting up perfectly in the middle of the fairway.
The best feeling in the world.
It is. You are maybe 40 yards from the pin. The lie is absolutely flawless. You
Oh.
pull out your wedge, you step up feeling great, you take your swing, and suddenly, thud.
Ouch, the dreaded thud.
A violent, jarring thud. You look down, and you've taken a divot the size of a toupee.
Yeah.
The ball's chunked forward maybe 12 feet.
Yeah.
And you're just left standing there, staring at this absolute crater you just excavated in the fairway, wondering what on earth just happened to your swing.
It is truly soul-crushing.
It really is. Welcome to another deep dive. Today's mission is to unpack the biomechanics of short game precision. We're looking specifically at why your wedge has this terrifying tendency to aggressively dig into the turf.
Which is a huge issue for so many players.
Exactly. And we're going to cover how mastering club face control can take you from, well, chunking it to unlocking pro-level consistency. To kick us off, I was thinking about this whole mechanism, and a very vivid image came to mind.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine you are in your kitchen, and you're trying to spread a piece of cold, hard butter on some incredibly delicate, perfectly toasted bread.
Oh, that's a dangerous game right there.
It is,
Yeah.
because if you take the knife, angle the sharp edge downward, and scrape it across the bread, you don't spread anything at all.
Right, you just aggressively gouge the surface.
Exactly. You tear a hole right through the middle, and you completely ruin the toast. But if you take that same knife and lay it flat, using the broad, smooth side of the blade, it glides right over the top without breaking the surface.
I love that analogy because the biomechanics of a wedge shot operate on the exact same physical principles as that butter knife.
Really, just basic surface area.
Basically, yeah. I mean, when you chunk that 40-yard pitch, you are essentially attacking the delicate toast with the sharp edge of the blade.
So the leading edge of the club.
Exactly. In golf terms, that sharp edge is the leading edge of your wedge. And the flat, broad side of the knife is the sole, or, the bounce of the wedge.
Right, the bounce.
Whenever a player gouges a massive trench in the fairway, it's just a biomechanical failure of presentation. You are simply presenting the wrong part of the tool to the ground at the exact moment of impact.
Which brings us to the root of why this is such a game breaker for so many players. Because the frustration isn't just the bad shot, right? It's the sheer unpredictability of it.
For sure. You never know when it's going to happen.
Right. And from everything we're looking at today, this massive inconsistency, this tendency to dig, really just comes down to excessive club face rotation through the impact zone.
That is the core issue. It's all about what happens when the club face closes too quickly through the hitting area.
Okay, walk us through what that looks like physically.
So when a golfer rapidly rotates their forearms and turns the toe of the club over through impact, the leading edge of the wedge instantly becomes the dominant point of contact.
It just points straight down.
Straight down into the dirt. And when you drop that leading edge, you simultaneously strip away the club's effective bounce.
The broad side of the butter knife is gone.
Exactly. You take this beautifully engineered, rounded piece of metal on the bottom of the club, which, by the way, was specifically designed by manufacturers to help the club glide through the dirt, and you completely deactivate it.
Wow.
Yeah, so instead of skimming the grass, the club is now biologically and physically programmed to dig an unforgiving trench.
And, I mean, the symptoms are painfully familiar to anyone who plays the game.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just the heavy, embarrassing chunks. It's also those unstable strikes when the club actually twists in your hands.
Yeah.
It's the incredibly deep divots. And ultimately, it just destroys your distance control. Because if the leading edge is digging, you're trapping varying amounts of dirt and grass between the club face and the ball on every single swing.
And that's the real penalty right there.
Right. If you don't know how much dirt is going to be between the club and the ball, you have zero idea how far the ball is actually going to travel.
You might time it perfectly once in a while and hit a crisp, beautiful shot, but building your short game around that kind of leading edge strike creates an incredibly fragile pattern.
Because the margin of error is so tiny.
Exactly. It relies heavily on microscopic precision. If your swing bottoms out even a millimeter too early, the ground catches that leading edge, decelerates the club violently, and just ruins the shot.
Okay, let me just stop you right there because I can hear the listener practically yelling through their headphones right now.
Uh-oh. What are they yelling?
Well, everything you just said about not rotating the face feels like a massive contradiction to anyone who has ever taken a basic golf lesson.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. I mean, from day one, aren't we taught to release the club? We pay instructors hundreds of dollars to teach us how to let our forearms rotate, let the toe of the club turn over, square the face, and stop slicing our driver into the woods.
That is a very standard lesson, yes.
So why on earth is doing exactly what we've been trained to do suddenly a terrible idea the second we put a wedge in our hands?
It's a completely fair point of confusion, and honestly, it highlights a massive misunderstanding in amateur golf.
How so?
Well, there is a fundamental biomechanical difference between a full power swing with a long club and a finesse swing with a wedge.
Okay.
Think about it. With a driver or a long iron, you are swinging at 90, 100, maybe 115 miles per hour. At those speeds and with those longer shafts, a rotational release of the forearms is absolutely necessary to square the face and deliver power.
Right, you need that release to hit it straight and far.
Exactly. But a wedge is an entirely different instrument with an entirely different job. A wedge is designed to move at much slower speeds through volatile environments.
Like thick, rough, or wet mud.
Yeah, thick, rough, fluffy sand, tight fairway grass, that's why it has bounce, that extra chunk of metal welded onto the sole.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if you take your aggressive, driver-style rotational release and apply it to a delicate finesse wedge shot, you are aggressively rolling the face closed and defeating the entire engineering of the club.
Let's dig into the science of this bounce concept a bit more.
Okay.
Because from the sources we're reviewing, bounce isn't just a static number stamped on the heel of your lob wedge. The key metric we need to focus on here is effective bounce.
Yes, effective bounce is arguably the most crucial concept in short game play.
So how does it differ from just regular bounce?
Well, the number stamped on your club, say 10 degrees of bounce, is really just the starting point. Effective bounce is the actual functional amount of bounce you are presenting to the turf at the exact millisecond of impact.
Okay, so it changes based on how you hold it.
It is completely dynamic. It changes on every single swing based on a whole matrix of variables.
Like,
Well, it's influenced by your club face orientation, certainly. But it's also dictated by how much forward shaft lean you have, your angle of attack, whether your hands are high or low at impact, the specific design of the sole, the firmness of the turf, and even the speed of your swing.
wow, okay. So it's a constantly shifting equation. If I push my hands aggressively forward toward the target, I'm taking bounce away. If I lower the handle, I might be adding it.
You've got it. And out of all those variables, the most critical, highly controllable factor in that equation is club face orientation.
Just whether it's open or closed.
Exactly. If you open the club face even just a few degrees, you dramatically increase your effective bounce. You expose that flat sole to the ground.
Right.
But if you close the face even slightly, you wipe it out and expose the sharp leading edge. This is why stabilizing the face is paramount. You want an open, stable face so the sole can actually do its job.
I find this dynamic fascinating. I like to picture the sole of the wedge as like a water ski.
Okay, a water ski. I like that.
Yeah. So if you are gliding behind a boat on a water ski and you keep the front tip of the ski tilted up toward the sky, even just a tiny bit, you glide effortlessly over the surface of the water, even if it gets a little choppy.
Right, because the surface area is supporting you.
Exactly. That upward tilt is your bounce.
Yeah.
But the second you panic, lean forward and let the tip of that ski dip down and break the surface tension of the water, you immediately catch an edge, crash, and sink to the bottom.
That is a brilliant way to look at it.
That dipping tip is a closed face and a leading edge.
The physics translate perfectly. The water is the turf. If the leading edge of your wedge, the tip of the ski cuts sharply down into the turf, the resistance of the ground skyrockets.
And it just catches immediately.
Exactly. The club gets swallowed by the dirt and decelerates violently. But if the sole, with the flat bottom of the ski is the primary point of contact, it can skim, glide, and release through the strike.
And that's where the consistency comes from.
Yeah, the beauty of a sole-dominant strike is that it provides a massive margin for error. You can actually hit the ground an inch or two behind the golf ball, but because the ski is tilted up, it just glides along the grass and slides right into the back of the ball anyway.
I take that margin for error and drop into a real-world scenario. Let's say it rained heavily the night before. I'm playing from really soft, wet, muddy turf.
Sounds messy.
Yeah, very messy. Or maybe I've short-sighted myself in some incredibly fluffy, powdery bunker sand. If I take my normal swing and I have a leading edge dominant strike, Does that basically guarantee I'm going to chunk the ball into oblivion?
In those specific conditions, almost without fail.
Wait, really?
Really, think about it mechanically. In soft mud or fluffy sand, there is absolutely no firm ground beneath the ball to repel a sharp edge.
Oh, true. It just yields.
Right. If you bring the leading edge down steeply, the soft ground just accepts the blade. The club sinks straight down, the turf grabs the hosel, and the shot is completely dead.
So the margin for error is gone.
Completely. The softer the turf, the more critical effective bounce becomes. You absolutely must have the broad sole of the club hitting the ground first to act as a skid plate, keeping the club head moving forward through that soft, resistant material.
Which brings up the million-dollar question.
Okay, let's hear it.
If we know the sole absolutely must be the dominant interaction point, how do we physically do that? Because I can't just freeze my wrists, lock my arms, and try to hack at the ball like a robot.
No, definitely don't do that.
Right. So how do players train their bodies to achieve this glide instead of a dig?
It comes down to a vital biomechanical pattern, which we can consider the golden rule of wedge play. Rotate the body while stabilizing the face.
Rotate the body, stabilize the face. I mean, that almost sounds like a paradox, doesn't it?
It does, because stabilizing the face does not mean locking up your body and stopping your swing. It actually requires the exact opposite.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, to keep the face stable, your big muscles, your ribcage, your chest, your pelvis must continue rotating smoothly and aggressively through the shot.
So the body engine stays on.
Exactly. The chest keeps turning, the handle travels forward seamlessly along with that rotation, but the face stays completely stable relative to the movement of your core.
So you're not flipping it with your hands.
Right. You are letting the rotation of your big body parts carry the arms and the club through the impact zone rather than using your small wrist muscles to hit the ball.
Let's talk about what happens when people inevitably get this wrong. Because there's a very specific list of common physical faults that completely destroy this stability.
Oh, for sure. The first one is exactly what we've been diagnosing.
Yeah?
Excessive forearm roll.
The panic roll.
Yeah, the player gets anxious near impact, their forearms rotate aggressively, they close the face, the leading edge drops, and the bounce is gone.
And the second one I see all the time, especially with mid-handicappers, is handle dragging.
Handle dragging is incredibly destructive.
It really is.
This happens when a golfer tries to aggressively pull the grip of the club far forward toward the target, usually because they've been told they need, forward shaft lean to hit down on the ball.
Right. Everyone wants that forward shaft.
But with a wedge, when you drag the handle too far forward, you dramatically de-loft the club. You tilt the shaft so far toward the target that the bounce is lifted completely off the ground and the leading edge is pointing straight down into the earth.
So you've essentially turned a gliding tool into a pickaxe.
Exactly that. You're trying to hit a delicate finesse shot, but you've engineered your club to chop wood.
That is such a frustrating place to be.
It is. A more neutral handle position is what actually keeps the bounce available to the turf. Then we have what might be the most universal fault of all, the body stall.
Ah, the body stall, where everything just stops.
Right. This happens when the golfer's torso simply stops rotating right in the middle of the downswing. Usually it's out of fear.
Like they're trying to be too careful.
Exactly. The brain gets anxious about hitting the ball, so the body freezes in an attempt to be careful. But momentum has to go somewhere.
So the hands take over.
Yep. If your chest stops turning, your arms keep flying forward, and your hands are forced to release all their angles independently just to reach the ball.
Which sets up the dreaded trail hand flip.
Right. When the body stalls, you get early wrist extension. For a right-handed golfer, the right hand panics and flips aggressively under the left hand.
And that just ruins everything.
It causes wildly unpredictable loft. Sometimes you hit it fat, sometimes you scull it over the green, but you have zero control over the club face.
And if you add a steep attack angle to that.
Oh, it's game over. Coming down sharply, like a V shape rather than a wide U shape, means your strike becomes entirely dependent on perfect, millimeter-precise timing.
Which no amateur actually has.
Exactly.
There is a really fascinating psychological paradox in all of this. If I'm hitting a 30-yard shot, my brain tells me this is a delicate shot. Don't move too much. Stay quiet, stay still, and just use your hands to neatly clip the ball off the grass.
It's totally natural to feel that way.
Right. But the biomechanical reality is completely counterintuitive. You actually have to keep your big, bulky body parts, your chest, your hips, your ribs, moving aggressively, just so your small, twitchy hands can afford to do less.
That is beautifully put.
Because if your big body parts stop moving, your hands basically panic and flip the club to save the shot.
The panic flip is purely a physiological reaction to a stalled kinetic chain. The brain realizes the engine has stopped.
So the wrists have to compensate.
Yes. If the chest isn't pulling the club through, the wrists have to instantly dump all their stored energy to try and reach the golf ball. It's just a rescue move.
Right.
But if the rotation of your ribcage and pelvis never stops turning toward the target, your hands never feel the need to step in and take over.
They can just stay quiet.
They can remain entirely passive. They simply hold the stability of the club face while the rotation of your torso does all the heavy lifting.
Understanding the mechanics of a panic flip makes perfect logical sense. But we really need to give you, the listener, a concrete way to train your body to actually feel this on the practice tee.
We definitely do.
Let's break down a practical application. The club face control drill.
It's a brilliant drill because it forces you to feel the stark difference between body rotation and hand manipulation.
How does it work?
You take your wedge and you make short swings without a golf ball. You begin with the face just slightly open at address, swing back to approximately waist height.
Okay, simple enough.
And then the only thought is to smoothly rotate your body through, allowing the club head to simply travel along for the ride.
The actual magic of this drill is in the follow-through, though. What should we be looking for when we finish that rehearsal swing?
Well, the finish position is your report card. It tells you everything about what your hands did at impact.
Okay, so what's a passing grade look like?
When you finish the swing, stop and look at the club head. The club face should be pointing generally back toward you, the golfer. You should be able to see the grooves of the club face for much longer in the follow-through.
And what's a failing grade?
What you absolutely do not want to see is the toe of the club turned rapidly over, pointing straight down at the ground. The club head is obviously moving in a circle around your body, but the face itself should not aggressively twist or rotate downward.
I have a visualization for this that always helps me lock in the feeling.
Let's hear it.
Imagine you are holding a tray of drinks, like a tray of very expensive, very full martinis.
Very important cargo.
Exactly. And you want to hand those drinks to someone standing to your left. You would simply turn your torso toward your target to deliver the tray.
Makes sense.
What you certainly wouldn't do is roll your wrists over as you turn, because if you aggressively flip your wrists, the tray flips upside down and the glasses shatter all over the floor.
That would be a tragedy.
Right. You keep your body turning to deliver the tray, but your hands stabilize the tray facing upward the entire time.
Keep the martinis off the floor. I love that. That is the exact biomechanical feeling you are hunting for. The club face is that tray of drinks.
So you just rotate to deliver it.
Yes, you are delivering it to the target purely with your body rotation, but you are not rolling it over. When you keep the tray facing up, you are keeping the loft and the bounce exposed and available to the turf through the strike.
But how do we bridge the gap between a nice, easy rehearsal swing and actually hitting a golf ball? Because honestly, the second I put a ball down, my brain sees the target, the anxiety spikes, and the panic flip comes right back.
It happens to everyone.
So what's the progression?
You have to trick the brain, and that requires immense discipline. Start with 2 to 3 sets of 10 slow, deliberate rehearsal swings with no ball.
Just building the muscle memory.
Exactly. You are purely mapping the neuromuscular feeling of the body rotating while the face stays stable like the martini tray. Once you have that sensation, you introduce the golf ball.
And swing away.
No, and this is the critical part. You only hit short shots at 40 to 50% of your normal swing speed.
Oh, wow, that's slow.
It will feel agonizingly slow. You are just trying to gently brush the grass beneath the ball. You only graduate to a slightly faster swing speed when you can prove you can maintain that exact same face control at the slower speed.
And if you fail?
If the panic flip returns, you immediately go back down to 40%.
Wow. It takes a lot of ego checking to swing at 40% speed on a public driving range, but putting in the work on this drill leads to the ultimate payoff in your short game.
It really does. It's completely worth it.
Let's summarize the core principle we've unpacked today. If you want to stop chunking your wedges, aggressively rolling the club face through, impact is the enemy.
Public enemy number 1.
You do not want to force the club into a closed, leading-edge dominant position.
Exactly. The foundational lesson is to allow the club face to remain more open, stable, and upward-facing through the strike. You want to expose the sole. You want to use the bounce. You want to let the club glide through the grass rather than dig into the dirt.
Just stabilize the face and let the body do the work.
Stabilize the face, let the bounce do the work it was engineered to do, and simply keep your body rotating.
And the performance benefits are staggering once this clicks. I mean, we are talking about incredibly crisp, clean contact. Your divots will transform from deep, heavy trenches into shallow little bruises on the grass.
Which is incredibly satisfying.
It is. You'll see incredibly consistent launch angles. You'll actually be able to control your spin. And most importantly, your distance control will become dialed in because you aren't guessing how much dirt is trapped on the club face.
When you use the bounce correctly, you completely change the math of your margin for error.
It just becomes so much easier.
It does. You can strike the ground an inch, sometimes 2 inches behind the ball, and because the sole is tilted upward, the club just slides along the turf and clips the ball perfectly with almost zero loss of distance. You buy yourself a tremendous amount of forgiveness on every single shot.
So how do you actually take this to the course? I have a challenge for you, the listener, the next time you tee it up. Don't just hit a wedge shot and stare at the ball flight.
They need to look at the evidence.
Right. After you hit, look down. Take a really hard analytical look at your divot. What is the depth of that divot telling you? Is it a light, shallow skim that barely disturbed the soil? Or is it a deep, aggressive crater?
The turf never lies.
Because the depth of that divot is a physical lie detector telling you exactly how much you're rolling your club face and exposing that leading edge.
It really is. And thinking about this mechanism brings to mind a much broader concept to chew on.
What's that?
Well, think about how this idea of stabilizing rather than forcing applies to other areas of your golf game, or honestly, how you learn any new skill at all.
Oh, that's interesting.
We have this hardwired instinct that to achieve a good result, we have to actively do something sudden and manipulative at the very last millisecond. We try to force the outcome with our hands.
The pan and flip of life.
Exactly. But in golf, and often in life, trying too hard to manipulate the outcome at the last second is exactly the thing that ruins it. Sometimes setting up the right conditions, trusting the tools you have, and simply turning your body smoothly through the problem is the most powerful and effective thing you can do.
If you found today's episode valuable, please subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us continue producing high-quality educational content for golfers and coaches worldwide. If you have a question, topic, idea, or golf challenge you'd like us to research, test, and explain, please leave a comment, contact us on LinkedIn, or send us an email. Don't forget to explore the eCoach 360-degree Golf Intelligence platform and experience our 48-hour free trial. You can also join our 30-day golf biomechanics, kinematics, ground reaction forces, and club kinematic certification program to deepen your understanding of golf performance.